The palace of Nithra rose from the desert sands like a glowing crystal mountain, each spire shimmering with liquid green light. The walls hummed softly with energy, as if alive. And standing before its gates was Elias Ward, a human diplomat who had no idea why the queen herself had summoned him. He held his breath. The twin moons hung overhead like silver eyes watching him. Nothing felt normal on this world. Relax, Elias muttered to himself. You're here to negotiate, not die. But deep down, he wasn't sure. The guards, tall beings with shimmering gold skin, escorted him through massive halls lined with floating lanterns. Every step echoed like thunder. Then he saw her, Lady Alindra, the noblewoman of Nithra, the most feared and admired being in the entire empire. She stood at the far end of the throne room, robes of emerald light flowing around her like living energy. Her eyes glowed bright white, no pupils, just soft, warm radiance. Her hair floated gently around her shoulders as if underwater. She turned when Elias approached, and her gaze struck through him like a silent storm. You came, she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost musical, but carried a weight of ancient power. Elias swallowed. You ordered it, he said, trying to hide the tremor in his voice. She smiled slightly, but there was sadness in her eyes. No human. I invited you. She stepped closer. Because you are the only one who does not fear me. Elias blinked. What? Of course I'm afraid of you. She didn't look offended. Simply amused. I said fear me, not fear for yourself. There was a difference. Elias didn't understand. He didn't dare ask. Her gaze softened, almost fragile. Walk with me. He followed her through a glowing corridor that seemed to pulse with heartbeats. As they walked, Elias noticed something strange. Whenever she moved near other Nithrians, they backed away. Some bowed. Some trembled. Some collapsed to one knee in reverence. One thing was clear. They feared her beyond reason. Elias whispered. Why do they react like that? Lady Alindra paused. You do not know? She asked quietly. Know what? She turned fully toward him, the light around her flickering in shades of sadness. I carry the touch of Velara. Elias frowned. What does that mean? It means, she whispered, that if I touch someone, even once, they see my emotions, my memories, my truth, everything, completely. Elias felt his chest tighten. That sounds intimate. It is. Too intimate, she said. Overwhelming for most. Dangerous for many. Those who experience it often lose their sense of self for hours. Some for days. Elias stared at her. And you want me, a human, to experience that? Her eyes glowed brighter. You do not run, she said. You do not tremble. You do not bow. You simply look at me like I am a person. She stepped closer, her radiance warming the air between them. No one has done that in 70 years. Elias felt his pulse quicken. She leaned in slightly. And if you touched me, she whispered, you would forget every other woman. Elias froze. His breath caught. Every instinct screamed at him to move, to step back, to resist the heat rising in his chest. He instead croaked out, why? Would I forget? Her expression turned heartbreakingly gentle. Because you would see me entirely. My fears, my hopes, my loneliness, my centuries of solitude. She let her glowing fingers hover near his hand, but didn't touch. And no human has ever carried another being's entire soul before. Elias felt the air twist around them. He whispered, why show this to me? Why now? Alindra's voice trembled. Because the universe is cruel. But you. She exhaled shakily. You looked at me like I was not cursed. Elias stared at her glowing hands. And you want me to touch you? I want you, she whispered, to know me. The hook deepens, 3 to 4 minutes. Elias stepped back slowly. Lady Alindra. Your people call you dangerous. I am. You could ruin my mind. I could. Then why tempt me? Her glowing eyes softened. Because temptation is not my goal. Truth is. She turned away, walking toward a glowing balcony below them. Thousands of Netherians performed a low, humming ritual, a sound that shook the glass-like floors. Elias whispered, "They worship you." "No," Elindra said quietly. "They fear me." Elias stood beside her. "Why?" She hesitated. Then she lifted her hand. A swirling mass of white energy formed above her palm. Memories, feelings, echoes of lives long gone. "This is my curse," she said. "Anyone I touch becomes a mirror of my soul. They drown in my centuries of memory. They lose themselves." Elias frowned. "But you've never intentionally used it?" "No, I avoid all touch." Silence fell. Then Elindra's voice cracked. "Do you know what it is like to live centuries and never feel another's hand on yours?" Elias swallowed hard. "Oh," he whispered. "That's why you're lonely." She looked at him sharply. "Lonely?" "Yes," he said quietly. "That's what this is. Not fear. Not power. Loneliness." Her glowing eyes widened, shimmering like liquid light. "No one has ever named it," she whispered. Elias took a step closer. "Careful. Slow. Your people stay away because they think your touch will consume them." "It will," she said painfully. "But you said humans are different." She nodded. "Your minds are noisy, chaotic, wild, resistant. You may survive." "Survive what?" he asked. "Me," she whispered. The truth. Arivi Eli. The wind blew soft glowing dust around them as the noblewoman turned toward him. "I brought you here," she said, "because I want to trust someone. At least once." Elias inhaled deeply. "And you chose me?" She nodded. "You carry a strength that is not physical," she whispered. "A kindness your species hides well. And a stubbornness that refuses to fear what others do." She lifted her hand again. "Touch me," she whispered. "You'll forget every other woman, not because I wish to replace them, but because once you see my truth, nothing else will compare." Elias felt his heart pounding, not with desire, with confusion, with fear, with fascination. "Elindra." His voice shook. "What will I see?" "Everything," she said. "Everything? My childhood. My first heartache. My first victory. My grief when I ruled alone. My centuries of watching stars die. My desperate wish to be touched without consuming someone." She stepped closer. Her glowing hand hovered inches from his. "Is that something you wish to see?" Elias hesitated, not because he feared pain, but because he knew, if he touched her, his entire life would change. "You'll see me," she whispered. "Every part of me. More deeply than any human has ever seen anyone." Elias closed his eyes, and then he said softly, "Show me." Elindra inhaled sharply, surprised. "You want to?" "Yes. Why?" "Because you need someone who isn't afraid of you," he said. "And I need to understand what makes you so lonely." Her voice trembled. "No one has ever said that." He opened his eyes, and together, they slowly brought their hands toward each other. But before their skin met, the palace shook violently. Energy crackled along the walls. Elindra's markings flared bright white. "No," she whispered. "What's happening?" Elias shouted. "The council," she said sharply. "They sensed my intention. They fear what you will become if you see my soul." "Become?" She grabbed his wrist, careful not to touch skin to skin. "You must leave now." "I'm not leaving." "You will be hunted." "Then I'll run." "You will be feared." "So are you." "You will be marked." "So what?" Elindra shook with emotion. "Why are you doing this?" Elias stared directly into her glowing eyes. "Because no one deserves to be alone for centuries." Elindra's lips trembled. Her glow softened. And, with a voice filled with more emotion than she had shown in centuries, she whispered, "Elias, if you touch me, you will never be the same." He took a breath. "I know." Then he placed his hand on hers. The moment of contact, a burst of white energy exploded around them like a supernova. Elias staggered but didn't let go. He saw a child Elindra laughing in gardens of diamond flowers. A teenage Elindra crowned with heavy responsibility. A young woman crying over the corpse of her mentor. A queen kneeling alone beneath dying stars. A soul who just wanted someone to touch her without fear. Elindra watched him silently, terrified of his reaction. Elias exhaled shakily. I saw you, all of me?" She whispered. "Yes. And you are still here?" He nodded, tears in his eyes. "I'm here." Elindra covered her mouth in shock. No one in her entire lifetime had ever endured her touch. "You didn't forget yourself?" she asked. Elias shook his head. "I didn't forget myself," he said softly. "But I might forget every other woman." Elindra flinched. "Why?" "Because none of them ever let me see their soul," he said. Silenced. Then Elindra whispered, "Elias, what am I to you now?" He took her hand fully and smiled softly. "Someone who isn't alone anymore." Her glow brightened, warm, golden, alive. And for the first time in centuries, Elindra felt human warmth that didn't break her or fear her or consume her. It understood her. And because of that single touch, everything changed.